about the ongoing search for the submersible in the deep waters of the Atlantic that was last heard from on Sunday, the Titan. We just did get an update from the Coast Guard that they are remaining hopeful, and this is still a search and rescue, but they have about 16 or so hours left of oxygen as we know it. I want to welcome Robert Pizzini, a retired U.S. Navy mixed gas deep sea diving officer, award-winning CEO, best-selling author, and Charlie Pereira, former investigator and the National Transportation Safety Board, with the National Transportation Safety Board. To you both, thank you. This is going to be quick, but Charlie, let me start with you in this search and the challenges and the complexities of a search like this, trying to locate this craft based on what we know.
What was the question?
What are the major challenges right now that crews are facing in trying to locate this submarine?
Well, the depth is the biggest challenge, and the devices used to search at that depth. The commercially available ones that operate in that depth. Trying to find that sub is probably the hardest part. If there's no underwater locator beacon or other homing device like that, then you're talking a lot of cubic feet or cubic meters of water in which to try to locate a relatively small object, and presumably it's on the bottom, and I'm not sure if it's hard bottom or soft muddy bottom. So there are various difficulties associated with trying to mark that type of feature on the bottom. Very big challenge at that depth.
And Bob, in the last couple of hours, we've been getting reports that they have heard some sounds underwater. We cannot verify if those sounds are in any way connected to the submersible, but what stands out to you about what they've released so far in these noises, underwater noises?
So there's very smart people on board the vessel. If they're in a dark vessel that's somehow still keeping warm, but they can't communicate and they can't navigate and they don't have propulsion, and all they have is the ability to tap a metallic object against the hull, that's their bet to capture the attention of passive sonar and an underwater listening device, which is certainly in the area. Also, something called sonobuoys that the Navy has already dropped to provide listening. But if there was a very distinguishable tap on a regular time interval, I'm certain they would be tapping SOS. And anything other than that, it's hard to see how that could be a communication from survivors on this vessel.
Charlie, given the depths of this search, 12,000 plus feet underwater, what are the complications once they do locate it to then safely bring it to the surface, and how long that would take?
Well, if it doesn't have any of its own mobility left, which it doesn't appear to, because you haven't seen it or heard from it in so long, it's going to be very hard to locate it with surface devices. So you probably have to have some form of subsurface ROV to actually visually identify it, and then attempt to retrieve it by some form of mechanical means. That's the biggest challenge that they're going to face. I assume they've got every conceivable asset in place to get that done via whatever means is necessary. But as we've been going through this the last couple of days, it's very sad to me, because it just seems like there was a very poor design consideration of failure modes and effects analyses and safety contingency planning, to get these people. In aviation and aerospace, we have typically triple redundancy for passenger safety for airliners, 10 to the minus ninth, which means 1 in a billion probability of failure, which typically means you have triple redundant systems on your communication, triple redundant systems on your location devices so that people up the surface can locate you, triple redundant means of propulsion, and there's going to be people on the underwater submersible side say, oh, well, no, that's not typical. We don't do that. We only have one of everything. Well, when you're selling seats at 250 grand a pop, that's a commercial operation similar to airlines, and I don't buy it. And in my opinion, it's poor engineering, poor planning, poor certification, poor poor regulation by the government. The whole thing is going to end up being a massive investigation with safety recommendations highlighting all of these failures.
Bob, I know we're up against the clock. I think we've got 1 minute left with you, maybe shy of that. I've got one question from somebody on YouTube who's watching. Is it possible to have slight loss of pressurization and not total loss?
I don't think so. I mean, there could be a gradual loss as opposed to an immediate loss of pressure, but once you start losing pressurization, the outside, the ambient pressure outside the vessel is extreme, 84,000 pounds per square inch. So if something crushed or penetrated the hull, I think it would be a rapid process.
I would like to continue this discussion, but because of technical issues, we've had to cut it short today. Bob Pizzini and Charlie Pereira, thank you both. I am holding out hope that they find this crew alive soon, but they're up against this clock. To you both, thank you. And thanks to those online as well. We'll do this again.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you very much.